Do you accept that it's inevitable that interest rates have to go up to 5% in order to get a grip on inflation?
Well, I think everybody has accepted that the rate had to and was going up. The only question really was how much it was going up. 5%, obviously, the upper side of what people were expecting. And I think a lot of families are going to be really, really concerned hearing that, because this is going to mean higher mortgages that they will have to pay on top of all the other bills that they're paying. And as you know, if there's one single issue out there that's keeping people awake at night, it's paying the bills. So this is really, really bad news for so many families.
Isn't there a sort of question of honesty in politics, across party politics? You know, Richie Sunak's doing the same thing. There isn't a pain-free way of getting a grip on inflation. If you want to bring it down, interest rates have to go up, and people have to feel that pain to curb their spending to bring down inflation.
Look, I think, of course, there's no quick fix. We've got to be honest about that. There is inflation across the world. There are global factors, but this country always gets hit hardest, whether it's mortgage rates, interest rates, energy prices, food prices. And, you know, if we're going to be honest, we have to ask, why is it? Why is the UK getting hit harder than other countries? And there is no way of answering that without looking at the 13 years of very low growth we've had in this country. The disastrous effects of the mini-budget under Liz Truss last year, which made a bad situation a lot worse, and the failure to do the fundamentals when it came to energy. So we didn't do the insulation of homes, so bills are higher than they should be. We didn't go toward renewables. We banned off onshore wind. We haven't moved forward with nuclear. There are issues that mean that we are more exposed than others. And, you know, I think many people listening, many people worried about their mortgage would say, why am I taking all the pain for the failure of the last 13 years of this government? And that's a very, very good question.
You've got a 5-point plan to help people with their mortgages, to lay some of the pain. It makes it easier to switch to interest-only payments, for example. But if you do that, people don't feel the pain, they don't curb their spending, so inflation won't come down.
Well, look, I think you've got to understand just how hard this is going to impact people. I gave the example yesterday at PMQs of a police officer called James who lives in Selby. He's had a mortgage for years. He's not missed a single payment. His mortgage is going to go up by £400, and he's had to take the decision to sell his house. He's got kids, and they're going to downsize. They're going to go back to where they were a number of years ago, and the kids are going into sharing their bedrooms. We could say, well, you know, lots of people share bedrooms, but to have to go in a massive backward step in your life. So you talk about pain. These are real human impacts of what's happening. What we're saying is, let's find a way to help people. Interest only would help. Lengthening the period would help reduce. Yeah. Making sure it's reversible, because what we don't want to do is to get people locked into things that won't work for them in 6 or 12 months' time, and make sure it doesn't affect their credit rating. But we can't have a situation where people either simply can't pay their mortgage and therefore they lose their home altogether. Repossessions have already doubled, or have to make life-changing decisions like selling their house and moving a step backwards. This is a big thing for people who didn't themselves cause this problem.
You supported, I think, the government stepping in and helping with energy bills and the rebate they gave there. Why do you not support the idea of helping people with their mortgage bills?
Well, I do think we should help people, but the help we should give is as we've set out in our 5-point plan, which is if we go to interest only, obviously that does reduce the mortgage payments. If there's a prolonging or making longer the mortgage deal, then that helps with the payments. So but without the repossessions and or the irreversibility that would cause pain further down the road. So this is a practical way to help families. And I'd like to see the government look at our plan and adopt it, because I think for millions of families, they desperately need help in a problem which is not of their making, is of the government's making.
And I think I know they've had the banks in this week, so we may hear more from that a bit later on. Rishi Sunak has been addressing the CEO's summit. You've been addressing the CEO's summit.
I think he's about to go on.
He's about to go on. You've been up there already, addressing a room full of CEOs at the Times CEO Summit. Exactly the sort of people that Jeremy Corbyn wanted to sort of tax into out of existence and you happily served under him. Why should they trust that you've changed now that you are more business friendly than have you changed?
Well,
Which is the real Keir Starmer?
We have changed, and evidence of that is, as I looked out this morning to the CEO conference here at the Times, I saw lots of faces that were familiar to me, people I've been talking to in the last 2 to 3 years, and they are the people that I've said before, and I said again this morning, that I want to partnership as we go into government, because if we're going to pick up an economy that's busted, public services that are on their face, and a general sense that this country can't achieve anything anymore. We need to turn that around at speed, and I want to partner with those businesses, and we're having in-depth discussions with them about how we do that. And that partnership means that they do the bit that business can do, bring the investment, bring the jobs and the creativity. We as a government partner with them by ensuring that the conditions are right for that investment. And the thing that came up this morning is we've got to get to grips with the planning rules. We've got to get to grips with the time it takes for the grid to connect, so that projects which ought to take 3-4 years but are now taking 15 years. Well, that's the discussion this morning. So we've changed so much that we're deep in conversation with the CEOs about what practically needs to be done at speed if we're privileged enough to come into government and to serve the country.
One thing I wanted to ask you about, because it came up at PMQs again yesterday, although it's come up before. You were mocking Rishi Sunak for travelling by helicopter. It's one of you quite like doing it. Right? Angela Rayner quite likes doing it. The private jets and the helicopters and stuff. When you're Prime Minister, will you always be getting the train and the bus, or are you going to rule out using helicopters and planes?
Ruling out things is always foolish, but you
keep mocking him for it.
Look, I think in the middle of a cost of living crisis, if you're doing, I think he did a trip down to Dover the other day from London, which is a short rail trip. To take a helicopter down there, just emphasise. I'm not saying the Prime Minister should never travel by helicopter. I do understand it's a heavy schedule, of course I do, but to use it when you really don't need to, and it sends a signal to, I think, many working people that you just don't get it. You don't understand what we're going through.
When was the last time you were in a helicopter?
I can't remember, years ago. I think when I was doing a case somewhere out in the Caribbean, I'd say 15
in the
years
Caribbean.
Ago. Well, I was
Caribbean helicopter.
I was doing a legal case out there. It's actually a police helicopter going across a section of Trinidad, but it was many years ago now.
I want to ask you about the other big story that came out just after PMQs yesterday. Was your spokesman was being asked about the story in the Times about peerages. Is it the case that your policy is to both pack the House of Lords with new peers and abolish the House of Lords?
Well, I can tell you I haven't actually discussed this with anybody.
Okay.
So this is, it's a story, it's understandable. Look, there is a mismatch at the moment. We've got far less peers than the Conservatives, and obviously we need to get the business of government through. But this is not some developed plan. I literally have not discussed it with anyone.
But if you are going to need more peers, is it time to say to Tony Blair, Gordon Brown, get off the subs bench, get in the House of Lords, do your bit? Do you want to bring back some big beasts of the Labour Party to serve in your government?
Well, look, what I do want to do is take advice from people who know what they're talking about. And what I'm trying to do is to get the Labour Party from a terrible election defeat in 2019, what will be 13 or 14 years of opposition into government. So do I want to talk to Tony Blair and to Gordon Brown, who were the last leaders that achieved that switch from opposition into government for a Labour Party? Of course I do. Not actually about the substance of particular policies, but more about the framework, the approach, the pace. So much has changed in 25 years that a policy discussion wouldn't be the right one, but it is about understanding how does a party go from years in opposition into power, hopefully, and into government.
And into number 10. And unlike Rishi Sunak, you're still here. You haven't run off. And you've agreed to do this.
The segment where random guests take part in the quiz. Can you get to number 10?
Yes, Keir Starmer, this is our hugely popular quiz. Can you get to number 10? 10 questions loosely connected to 10 cabinet jobs. The more questions you get right, the better the job you get. Take your place alongside our listeners and guests, and we'll even give you a certificate. Now, when Rishi Sunak came on to do the quiz last summer, this happened. We're not going to do the quiz.
I literally have got 200 people waiting for me next door, and I was meant to be there 2 minutes ago. So
he ran off.
Oh, dear.
So you're still here, so you're already doing better by my count.
Is that one step in the right direction?
Yes, you're one step away. You're not run off. Right, come on then, let's do this. Let's play. Can Keir Starmer get to number 10? OK, Keir. Question number 1, to become Minister without portfolio. Complete this well-known phrase, actions speak louder than
words.
You're in the cabinet. Question 2, for culture, media and sport. Who is Arsenal's all-time top scorer? Is it Thierry Henry or Tony Adams?
Oh, it's Thierry Henry, the only...
Is the right answer. You've got to start giving me some more trivia. Question 3 for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs. When I bumped into you having breakfast at Labour conference a couple of years ago, what were you having? Was it a little bit of fish and a little bit of cheese, or a full English?
It was a little bit of cheese, a little bit of fish. I think you took a photo of it and tweeted it so the world knows that.
And it was, I'll be honest, disgusting. Question number 4, because I tried it as well. Question number 4 for Transport Secretary. What's the speed limit on a dual carriageway?
60. 70.
No. 70 is the right answer. At least you didn't say it was 80 and then get accused of breaking the law. Which means you made it to Environment, Food and Rural Affairs. Which is interesting. You've seen our poll today. You're neck and neck with the Tories in the countryside.
Yes, this is really good.
Yeah.
Rural and coastal.
You're now the party of the countryside as well.
Yep.
Amazing. What's your top priority for the countryside?
Work with the farmers to ensure that they've got security for food production and, can actually survive as we go through big change.
Yeah, absolutely. And the big impact of Brexit.
Oh, and we work with the National Farmers Union a lot.
Yeah.
They're very, very concerned about how they survive.